Welcome to FPL Selection. Today we'll review the 10 matches from Game Week 2 and see which players caught the eye and have been added to the watch list. Hit like if you enjoy the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks. So first up, West Ham 1, Chelsea 5. It was a fairly even game until Chelsea scored the second goal. West Ham had their second disallowed. Chelsea scored pretty soon after. And then West Ham just seemed to give up at that point and just made it really easy for Chelsea. So it's not the best game to sort of judge anything from because I think, you can't really take too much away from it from beyond that point. But Esteval was very lively again. Got an assist for Enzo's goal. Could be a great pick at 6.5 if he can get into the first 11. He just consistently tries to be his full-back, regularly gets crosses in. He's definitely very capable of cutting inside and shooting on his left foot. So he's one I've certainly got my eye on at the moment. Pedro got his first league goal and assist. So if he can become the main goal scorer in that team, I think he's going to be a great pick because they've got so many creative players there at Chelsea. You'd think he's going to get the chances. The only issue with him, I guess, is the minutes. I mean, it did look like, he was going to play with the Lap, and Palmer. We're all going to be in the same team. So I wonder if that's going to continue going forward, or maybe that's going to be game specific. But even so, he's still, got the returns in the number 10 position. So maybe that's a good thing in a way because, he's going to be in the lineup in some way. So maybe that's going to help his minutes a little bit. And then the other Chelsea player I was looking at is Tosin. He's only 4.5 million. He was talked up by Maresca before the season, I think, saying he was sort of one of the only players that he would play in the Colwill position, which is sort of the centre of the three defenders when they're attacking. And, he's the passer that's going to, pass the ball into midfield. So, I mean, if he does become the favoured option and play most of the games at 4.5, he could be a really nice set and forget option. He's been pretty close to getting the DEFCON as well. So, it could be a nice set and forget there. And West Ham, obviously a no-go at the minute. We're going to have to see, if they make any improvements. So next up, City 0, Spurs 2. Spurs set up perfectly for this one. Made it very difficult for City with the high press. They got the second goal from pressing high and obviously forced a mistake from Trafford. And, nice counter-attack for the other goal. So it was a classic Thomas Frank against a big team performance, as I was talking about last week. And they kept Haaland fairly quiet for most of the game. So just shows, that you get a proper manager in who has a flexible game plan. Can really make a difference. Richarlison had another great game. He is a good player. When he's fit and he's, at it, he's just a pest. He'll keep pressing, he'll work really hard, gets in good positions. He got the assist for Johnson's goal and he was sort of involved in the scramble for Polina's goal. So if he can stay fit and keep his place, which I think he will keep his place if he does stay fit and keep scoring. So he's going to get the chances. As I said before, Frank likes to get the chances to his number 9, as he sort of did with Tony and Visser at Brentford. So, I think, he keeps himself fit and he keeps playing like that. There's going to be at least a, in the short term, looks like he's the first choice. So, it could be a nice pickup on a sort of short-term basis. Then from the defence, I think Romero might be the pick. He's obviously $500,000 more than Van de Ven. He seems to be hitting slightly higher on the DEFCONs, and he's always a threat at set pieces as well. So, I'm just going to keep an eye on the Spurs defence for now. But, he's just so aggressive and he's, always going to get his head on things. So, he might be the pickup in the Spurs defence. And then, I guess from a City point of view, it wasn't their best game. Didn't really create too much in the match. They made quite a few changes from the first game, so I think with City, to be honest, you just avoid, other than Haaland and Reinders, obviously is a fairly budget pick, so I think he'll play most of the games as well, along with Haaland. So I think other than those two, probably just wait and see a little bit, see how the defence settles down, and before going back there to pick anyone. Then Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0. So it was a fairly comfortable win for Bournemouth in the end, but it wasn't obviously convincing with just the one goal. After the red card, it was pretty much a nothing game. But I think the thing to take away from this is the Bournemouth, obviously the aggressive pressing that they do. Just they move the ball so quickly. As soon as they get it, they move it quickly, get it forwards. And they're just very efficient at that. So it's a nice trait to have, and obviously Semenyo's perfect for that kind of system. He just kept getting himself in the right positions. He got the assist for the goal, hit the crossbar from close range. He had another one that he put over the bar that, another day, if he keeps it down, he's probably scoring. So he's getting in those positions. Now, he was like this last season, and it was just very frustrating because he would never get the goals, but he'd always be in the right place, especially when you see highlights. It would always be him skying the ball or something. But I'm going to keep my eye on him because I think if he does put a few away and he works on his finishing, he's going to be one of them that's just going to keep picking up returns every week because he's always in the right place. He's great on the counter against the better teams. So he's definitely on my watch list at the moment. Bournemouth have got a good run of fixtures as well for the next sort of 10 to 12 weeks. They don't really play too many of the top sides. And even when they do, they're obviously a threat on the counter against those teams. So I think a Bournemouth attacker would be a nice shout. And I think Semenyo's probably top of the bunch at the moment till we see a little bit more from Evan Nilsson. And then the two Bournemouth centre-backs, Senesi and Diakite, both hit the DEFCONs against Wolves. And Senesi also got it against Liverpool, and I think Diakite was one away. So, I think you've now seen them against a top opponent. You've seen them against a lower level opponent. I think it's just Bournemouth's style, the way that they sort of press high and they, burst forward quite quickly. I think it just means that centre-backs have quite a bit of recovery to do. So I think that could be very good for the DEFCON. And, they're both threats at set pieces too. So at just 4.5, I think one of those two can emerge as a really nice budget option for your defence. Like I said, Bournemouth got good fixtures for the next 10 to 12 weeks. So I think I'm definitely considering one of those two on my wild card as well. Even as a first sub, if you're not confident in them every week. A baseline of 4 points is obviously really nice. Then I think the only takeaway from Wolves is probably Strand Larsen. Obviously looked decent again. He got his decent header chance that got saved very well. He's looked pretty sharp in the first couple of games. He's a better player than I realised. I don't think I watched enough Wolves last year. You can see he's someone that could step up, and I think if he stays at Wolves, he's going to be a nice option because obviously he's going to be their talisman on penalties. But if he does end up going somewhere like Newcastle and, maybe he's their first choice striker, I think the amount of chances they're creating, I think at 6.5, Strand Larsen's going to be pretty obvious for most people. So that's one to watch before the window closes next week. Then Brentford 1, Villa 0. Sort of a classic Brentford performance, I feel. They're just making it very difficult for the opposition when playing at home. They got the chance, they took it. They should have had a second because I think that second goal was very soft. The foul on the goalkeeper. So, it was just a classic Brentford performance, and that makes sense if they're bringing in one of the coaching staff to take over as manager. It's just going to be more of the same, maybe. So, it was quite interesting to see that actually. And so from a Villa point of view, very poor again. Just didn't really create hardly any decent chances. They just don't look like they're quite at it so far this season, the two games I've seen. I think Dango Otara, very lively on his debut, got the winning goal. He had 15 DEFCONs, which obviously is very good for an attacker. He had a few runs of form for Bournemouth last season where, he looked like a real player when he did get to start. So, he's one to keep an eye on because, if he can step up that consistency and get a run of games in this team, he, could get a decent amount of returns. And if he can keep it in those DEFCONs, then, again, it's a nice base if you're going to hit 4 points every week. And Vandenberg, again, hit the DEFCON threshold, along with a lot of the Brentford players, actually. I think maybe 5 or 6 all got it this past week. But he's only 4.5 million. I think I've mentioned him a couple of times before, but again, he's another one that could just end up being in most people's squads. If Brentford are going to play the way they did before, he's probably going to get a lot of headed clearances and hit the DEFCON quite often, even in games where they don't keep clean sheets. So, yeah, he's one I've got my eye on anyway, certainly for my wild card. Then Burnley 2, Sunderland 0. It's a fairly even game. Both teams, had some good chances in the match. But I think Burnley's goal, was well taken. The second was a late counter. So I just think it was a case of them taking the chances and Sunderland not. So, yeah. I don't think either team is to be looked at for attackers at the moment. Neither sort of has a clear talisman. Maybe that'll change, with any signings at Sunderland. Maybe Burnley, if Brozier gets fit, potentially he could be the man for them. But yeah, I'd stay away at this moment in time. But both have some nice budget defenders. Obviously, the Burnley defence, Steve or Ekdal. Hitting the DEFCON Ekdal this week. Steve was very close as well. So nice 4 million defenders you can sit on your bench. Or obviously Dubravka is probably the best bench keeper at the moment, just 4 million. I think he's the only playing 4 million at the moment, so I think he's a no-brainer really, if you don't like rotating the keepers. And then for Sunderland, Nildo hit the DEFCONs this week. Alderete was close as well. I think he's probably first choice centre-back now, as he started ahead of the other lad who I can't remember the name. Both 4 million as well, so I think I'd go with the centre-back, to be honest. Go for Alderete, just more likely to get the DEFCONs, but I think either will do a job on your bench and, just sitting there if you need them. And Arsenal 5, Leeds 0. It's a very comfortable win for Arsenal. Leeds barely threatened really in the game. I think it was like sort of one set piece early on. As soon as the first goal went in, it was very comfortable. It had 2 goals from corners. All of the back four looked threatening on those and sort of all made small contributions. Well, I say small. Timber obviously scoring 2 goals is not small, but yeah, they all just sort of seemed to be involved. Great deliveries from Rice. But yeah, Timber and Calafiori look really interesting. They both have the time getting forward and their threats. Sort of getting crosses in or playing balls through. Even Calafiori getting in the box a few times. So if they keep playing like that and one of them, we can figure out which one will get the regular starts, they could be gold at just 5.5 million, obviously with the reliability of the Arsenal defence and the clean sheets. But it is just working out which one is going to start regularly, especially when the Champions League comes back round. So it might just be safer going with one of the centre-backs. But yeah, I'm definitely going to try and study a bit of that and see if I can figure that out, because I think it could be a nice option. And then the only takeaway from Leeds really is Rodon could be a nice 4 million bench defender. Hit the DEFCONs in this game. It looks like he'll be first choice if there's no more signings for Leeds. So again, just another one there if you prefer a Leeds player as a backup defender. Looks like he's going to be in the team most weeks. And Palace 1, Forest 1. Probably a fair scoreline. I think Palace had the better chances in the first half and Forest in the second. But Lacroix probably was the pick of the players here. Looked threatening on set pieces again. He always seems to get his head on the end of things. Hit the DEFCONs for the second game in a row. So, again, he might be worth the saving of 0.5 from Munoz, who got the assist for the Sarr goal. I think that's very much a slow and steady pick against a sort of fun up and down pick. But either way, I think the Palace defence looks pretty good, and one of them is likely to be in my wildcard team, I think. Just deciding which way I want to go with the steady points or the up and down, big scores and low scores. So, yeah, I think that's an interesting one to pick from there. Anderson was one away from the DEFCONs again. Could be a nice 5.5 set and forget. But we'll just have to see if Forest buy any more players. They got Douglas Luiz in. He'll have to play somewhere. I imagine he's going to be in the 11. But it could be alongside Anderson. So, yeah, just going to have to monitor that and see how the team looks after the transfer window, but Anderson's such a good player. I think he's more than likely going to be in that 11. And again, he's got that base of 4 points a week for 5.5 million. I think he could be a nice one for building your squad. And then Chris Wood didn't really get any clear chances in the game. But Forest have obviously got good fixtures for a little while now. And I think he's going to, continue to be the number one choice, certainly in the short term. So, yeah, I wouldn't rule him out for now. Definitely an option for people looking for short term. And Everton 2, Brighton 0. The scoreline really doesn't reflect the game. Brighton were very wasteful in this. They had so many chances. They hit the post, hit the bar, missed a penalty. There was 2 other big chances. And I think Everton were just clinical when they got their big chance. And then it's a great goal from Ghana. Yeah, it just makes it look really comfortable for Everton, but it really wasn't. The Brighton attack looked very good, but it's still a lottery, as to which one to pick. I think, Mitoma's probably looked the most likely. He's had quite a few chances in both games. But again, Welbeck had a few chances. It was Rutter last week. Minter's looked busy as well. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see with them. Give them a few more weeks and see if, there's a clear option emerges, I think. From an Everton point of view, I think their attack should be much better this season. You can see Grealish look lively on the left. So once he's up to full fitness and, up and running, that's definitely going to bring a lot of creativity to them. And Dye looked very sharp as well. Got in the box nicely for his goal. Had a few shots in the game as well. He looked very good. So I think there's plenty of potential there for Everton. But again, it's going to be a wait and see. And see how things develop with their attack over the next few weeks. But in terms of their defence, I think Tarkowski might be one of the best picks in the game. Hit the DEFCON again, second week in a row. So if he's getting those 4 points, most weeks, and, Everton had 12 clean sheets last season, if they can get anywhere close to that again, he's going to be really good value at 5.5. Just, get clean sheets in the easier fixtures, get 4 points against some of the bigger teams, or 3 or 4 points. Yeah, I think he could be a set and forget most of the season. So I'm pretty confident he'll be in my wildcard team this week. But definitely one to watch there because, again, threat of set pieces as well. There's just so many, he's got a nice base and he can always hit a high score as well. So Fulham 1, United 1. It's probably a fair scoreline in the end, although United probably had the better chances in the game. Could have been 3-0 up by half time, but it was, just a great save for one of Cunha's chances. He also hit the post, and obviously Fernandes missed the penalty. So I think after United scored the goal in the second half, Fulham sort of, made a few adjustments, and they definitely looked like the better side. Didn't create too many chances, but obviously took the goal really nicely, and they sort of limited United in the second half. I think Cunha was the man that was getting the most chances for United. He's looked really sharp in the 2 games so far. Obviously, it's still too early to say which of the attackers will be the better option, but he definitely looks sharp, and he's getting in the positions, getting the shots off. So at the moment, he's looking like the one that could be the pick. But again, we haven't even seen Sesko playing much in the front 3. So that could all change. So I think it's a wait and watch at the moment. Fernandes did miss a penalty, but he reached the DEFCON threshold. So obviously for a midfielder attacker, it's very nice to have that base of 4 points. And 9 times out of 10, he would have scored that penalty. It would have been a 12-point game with a 3 bonus probably. So I think he would be a really popular pick this week, obviously with Burnley coming up. So he also created the most chances in game week 1. He's definitely on my watch list, and I think, even with United not looking, like the finished article, certainly, he's one definitely to have on your watch list, I think, because there's so many routes to points. It could be a set and forget for most of the season. But again, sort of depends on United. It's whether you've got any faith in them to be much better than last season. I think in terms of the defence for United, Euros looked very threatening on the set pieces. He seems to be the one that the ball seems to magnet onto his head. He got the DEFCON against Arsenal. He was close against Fulham. I think at 4.5, he's one to monitor. Obviously, De Ligt is a bit more expensive, but he's at the DEFCON in both games. So I think one of those two could emerge as a nice pick. But again, we're going to have to see. Mesraoui will be coming back soon. Got Martinez to come back. So yeah, it might not be a long term if there's a shuffle round in the first 11. Then from a Fulham point of view, I think the attackers are going to have to wait and see for now. Just see if Muniz ends up staying. But I think Anderson in the defence hit the DEFCON. He's another 4.5 to keep an eye on, especially if Fulham had decent defence last year in terms of numbers, but the clean sheets didn't really come. So if they can, turn those performances into clean sheets, yeah, he could be a nice pick. Then Newcastle 2, Liverpool 3. Obviously a really crazy game. Newcastle were pressing so well again, same as they did against Villa. Even after they went down to 10 men, they were, really difficult to play against and probably created most of the better chances in the game. I think Liverpool just showed the quality, really. They had 3 moments and they scored 3 goals without playing very well. Just shows the quality of their attack. They don't need many chances. They're able to play very well, but yeah, they can turn a game inside out just like that. I think Gordon was probably the best player on the pitch until he got sent off. Just all the chances seemed to be coming to him. He was playing almost like a centre forward the way he was getting in the box. I saw 30 minutes of it and I was thinking, right, he's going to be my wild card. Got some good fixtures coming up. And then he obviously got sent off. So he is on my watch list anyway because I think he just looks so sharp and I've always liked him as a player. He's just one. He always likes to get his shots off. He was getting in the box, which is the important thing. Trying to get on the end of, trying to get those tap-ins as well. So, yeah, when he comes back after his 3-game suspension, I think he'll be one to consider, definitely. And in terms of their defence, I think Dan Burns hit the DEFCONs in both the games. They have got a decent run of fixtures for a little while, so I think if you can pick that Newcastle defender, which, when the Champions League comes back, there will be a bit of rotation, I'm sure. But in the short term, he could, rack up the points with the clean sheets as well, because Newcastle have looked very difficult to play against. And with that midfield in front of them, yeah, you'd imagine there's going to be plenty of clean sheets. Then in terms of Liverpool, Van Dijk also hit the DEFCONs. He's hitting really high numbers as well, so it might just be because Liverpool have been quite open in these first 2 matches, but he's always been the last line of defence for Liverpool. They've always sort of, left it to him to mop things up, so gets his head to everything as well. So I think if he continues to hit those high numbers and Liverpool can sort out their defence, you're looking at, a base of 4 points and then, 10 points quite regularly. I think it would be a no-brainer for most people. But it's just got to see how that defence develops, I think, and they can tighten up a little bit because they do look quite open. And then Ekitike he does look like a real player. Took his goal so well in this. And that's 3 games in a row now, including the Community Shield. He's got a goal. I think if Liverpool don't sign Isak, he's going to be a very popular pick. Liverpool's number 9, really creative attack. He's going to get the chances and he looks like a real finisher. So that could be a no-brainer in a few weeks as well. Just have to keep an eye on the transfer window. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching and we'll catch you on the next one.